Good morning and welcome to your favorite breakfast show, the only show, in my opinion, that goes very well with your cup of joe, and that is Smell the Coffee. I'm your host, Glenda Rashipura, and I am quite excited to be here with you on this lovely morning. And of course, I have to start out with the good news. My colleague Ashwin told me, feel free to mention it to the viewers, that Arsenal has won the league for the first time in 22 years. So I guess 2026 is that year. It's the year of miracles, it's the year of breakthroughs, it's the year of anything can happen. If you have been striving for something and you're like, you know what, I'm about to give up, just think about it. Arsenal has won the league after 22 years. So if that's not encouragement, I don't know. On that note, let's take a look at the reels of the day.
And so what if not all your ducks are in a row? At least your ducks are everywhere having fun, bopping around, side questing. Like, some people who have their ducks all lined up in a row probably resent them. Because why are you making them line up like that? This ain't middle school.
I mean, seriously, so what if my ducks are not in a row? So what if the lights are not on at home? So what if I don't have my life together? So what? Especially in this economy. In this economy, can I even afford to have my ducks in a row? Can I afford to be so well organized and so well put together? Is it possible? I'm of the opinion, because of the way things are going, yeah, you might as well just be crazy. You might as well just be, your best, weird, authentic self, because so what? Really? Who knows if we will even see 2027? Anyways, let's take a look at the next one. I don't wish you the best. And I'll keep on saying this. This whole thing of, oh, we broke up, but I wish them the best. No, it's a lie. It's a lie. I don't wish them the best. If I heard that their whole life fell apart after we broke up, I will be smiling from ear to ear. Because if you did me dirty, why must I feel bad for you when things go bad? Like, honestly speaking, after we broke up and I hear that you have a receding hairline, that's good news for me. After we broke up and I hear that, oh, you lost all your life savings because you took a gamble on some crypto something, I'm smiling. I'm smiling because I don't wish you well. And that note, we have concluded our Reels of the Day segment. We will be right back on the other side of this with an interesting story.
Namibia is a land of movement, with waves that never stop reaching forward. Here, adventure is not something we search for. It is something we are born into. In every corner of this country, creativity rises, from artists, from athletes, from dreamers. And when the world comes to explore Namibia, they discover something extraordinary. Because when sport moves people, creativity moves ideas, and tourism moves the world toward us. Something powerful happens. A platform where movement meets imagination, where industries connect, where opportunity grows, where Namibia's next chapter begins. Welcome to the Creative Sport Tourism Expo. Exhibit, partner, experience. Creative Sport Tourism.
In our next story, we take a look at a very, very bizarre story. Something that I believe is the case of an alternate reality. But of course, people are going to say it's hallucination, she was just dreaming. But I just think she literally jumped into an alternate reality. Now, let me get into it. A 19-year-old woman from Lyon says she is still grieving children who never actually existed after waking up from a medically induced coma, believing she had lived an entirely different life for 7 years. Clelia Verdier says she made a serious suicide attempt in June 2025 by taking a large amount of medication, which left her in a medically induced coma for 3 weeks. But while doctors were fighting to save her life, her mind created what she described as an incredibly vivid alternate reality. Speaking to the Daily Mail, just hold on. Speaking to the Daily Mail, the teenager explained that she had no idea she was unconscious. Instead, she believed she was living a completely normal life. She says the dream felt so real that they became her reality. Verdier recalls falling in love, becoming a mother, and giving birth to triplets named Mila, Miles, and Mei Li. She says she could physically feel the pain of labor, the stress of childbirth, and the overwhelming emotion that came with becoming a parent. One of the babies, Mei Li, reportedly died shortly after birth in the dream, leaving Verdier devastated. Now, one of the babies, Mei Li, reportedly died shortly after birth in the dream, leaving Verdier devastated. She says the grief felt completely real and stayed with her long after she woke up. Now, the teenager also remembers deeply personal moments with the children, including skin-to-skin contact after birth, bedtime stories, shared meals, and watching the girls grow up over what felt like 7 years. She described one child as shy while the other was full of energy. But the most heartbreaking moment came when she finally woke up from the coma. Verdier says her first instinct was to ask where her children were. Doctors and family members then had to explain that none of them existed. She says she was so convinced the experience was so real that when she first saw her parents, she told them they were grandparents. Even now, more than a year later, Verdier says she still struggles emotionally and feels disconnected from others. She's currently undergoing therapy to process what she described as the profound grief of losing a family that only existed inside her mind. Despite knowing it was a hallucination, she says the emotional bond remains real to her, adding that she still feels like a mother because of everything she experienced during the coma. Verdier says she hopes to one day have children in real life, but admits the daughters she dreamed about will always hold a special place in her heart. Yeah, this is crazy. When I first heard the story, I was just like, what? What do you mean you lived a whole life? You lived 7 years, and that whole time you're just in a coma. So yeah, so this is a woman from France. She experienced this, and she's currently undergoing therapy to deal with the loss of children that never existed. In my opinion, I think she was just in an alternate reality. I think that she slipped through whatever, I don't know, quantum physics. Physicians, please come through and explain what might have happened. But I think she slipped through to an alternate reality, and she lived a full life there, or at least 7 years there. And then she had to come back to this reality, and she's like, oh no, she doesn't have any children. And you know what would be very interesting? What if in a few years' time she actually has the triplets? Everything that happened in that alternate reality actually happens in this life. Then would we question that she was crazy, or would we start to look at like, maybe there's more to this life thing. Maybe there's more to just what we think is, oh, that might be a hallucination. Maybe there's more to some of this thing. There's also another story of a man who he passed out, I think, for like 25 minutes. And during that 25 minutes, he had lived another life of about 50 years where he had a wife, he had children, he lived a full life, only for him to wake up and realize that he's still in this reality, and it had just been about 25 minutes that have passed. So there's more and more cases of stories like this that are coming to light, and I'm starting to believe that there are are alternate realities out there. But do let us know in the comment sections what you guys make of this story, because in my mind, I don't think she was hallucinating. I think she literally lived this life, and this existence does exist in some random fragment of reality. On that note, let's take a look at this interesting interview that I had with a multi-disciplined artist, X, who wears different hats in the industry. I'm joined in studio by a visionary artist, someone who has worn many hats and always wants to show up as authentic as possible to every project. Good morning, X. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you doing, Glenora?
I'm quite excited to have you in studio. I'm quite excited to have this conversation early on in the year, because you're one of the artists that I always look out for in terms of just the work that you're doing. And everything that you do is, always inspiring, and you're always pushing yourself to the next limit.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
So how has the year 2026 been? I know it's quite early, but how has it been so far as an artist?
As an artist so far, in an individual capacity, I think 2026 looks very promising. Again, I always like to say this. I feel like there's a new temperature in the art industry, in the creative industry, and myself as an artist, there's a lot that you can plan for. There's a lot that sounds exciting, that sounds like it's going to, sort of flourish. So again, like you said, it's very early on in the year, so you can't say too much. You don't want to jinx things that you have planned, but there's a positive start to it individually. But the world doesn't look very bright at the moment. So there's obviously that thing of like trying to balance reality with your optimism, So
speaking of that, and also how artists need to be a voice or the mirror to where society is, or the reflection of the times. I've seen most of your work, and it really does that. Your last play, you were, tackling quite a few heavy themes, but it was also inspired because this is, what I see in the community, and I'm just reflecting the times. How important is that for you as an artist to always, hold up the mirror to society?
I think that's the role of every artist, actually. In fact, everyone that has, even if you're not an artist as a profession, if you have a sketch pad at home, it's important for you to reflect what it is that inhibits you internally, and whatever you see as going on in the world around you, because that's how you preserve who you are, and that's how you preserve, let's say, the national identity of a country. It's by creating the art that reflects that. It's been quite a journey, trying to really find my footing in expressing what, because it's very difficult to be honest as an artist, especially when you start commercializing your art. You want to meet the standard, the status quo, whatever is popular, whatever is trending, and most of the time things that are reflective of society. People don't want to consume substance anymore. We live in a world, the digital era or whatever, but we live in a world where it's so easy to consume things. It's like you just scroll. It's just art, even on social media. So creating art that challenges, that makes people think critically about the world around them, about themselves, it's important, and I think it's the role of every artist to some degree. Even if you make abstract art, you need art that makes people think about themselves and about the world they live in, essentially.
I love that. And you did speak on trends as well, and how it's important to try to be as authentic as possible, but still, be in the know of the trends that are happening. What kind of trends are you seeing right now, or trends that we might be heading into in the industry?
So let me start with artists have become independent curators and creators now, especially with the advent and the promise of the internet era and the technologies like AI and AR and VR and all these new technologies that are driving what it means to be an artist in a completely new direction. And it's trending also, of course. I mean, we saw like with the advent of social media, it became it became much more easier to sort of disseminate your art globally, because you are in charge of it. You are in charge of distribution, because you know the internet platforms and social media platforms made that possible. So it has when was the internet introduced? Like early 2000s. So now in 2026, you know, it's taken a level that is
where you can be a business on your own and you don't need all these
Yeah.
other factors or agents
and people outside of
record labels and whatnot. It also removes a level of, I'm not saying all record labels are bad, but or companies per se
Yeah.
that house and manage artists
Yeah.
are bad, but there were issues in the past where you hear stories of like artists, I mean I sold how many millions of albums or books, what have you, but I didn't make so much money from it because of the contracts I signed.
Yeah. So
So now
there's that sense of like independence of being drawn away as an individual artist, being drawn away from institutions and being able to own your art, own your work, direct the channel in which it flows, things like that.
And also
you know?
own your voice as well.
Own your
which
voice
is also
as
very
well.
important, which is I've seen quite a few artists blow up just on social media.
Yeah.
And I don't see them like being signed on to anybody, but you can see that they have like millions of views on YouTube and they are doing their own thing, which is very nice and holistic.
They themselves become the brand, the entity, the company.
Yes.
You know, as an individual artist, you become the institution that sort of produces the work that you create as an artist.
Do you think that this new trend, especially the use of social media, is good news for Namibian artists? Because there's always been that notion that, if you're an artist in Namibia, you're just going to suffer, you're going to starve. So do you think that this is a platform for us as artists to, you know, get on and, you know, just see where it goes?
Yeah. I can answer that in two ways. One, it's not just social media, but other technologies, like we said now, the new trends that are happening, artificial intelligence and so forth. I think there's two ideas that you can have to it, like a positivist one and a negativist one. One, the Namibian industry, the creative arts industry, like I said, you know, it's only now with with the administration of the current president where we see some kind of recognition and true appreciation and acknowledgement of the importance of art and trying to, you know, distribute resources to build the industry. But then it also comes at a point where like the technology is so advanced to the point where you don't have it's in let's say in first world countries, creative industries are being threatened by our own creations, by technology. You don't need a whole set to create a film. You don't need a director, producer, writer. You just need AI. You just need AI and a producer. Because script writing,
which is a bit sad.
You know.
Yes.
So if that same reality sort of presented onto Namibia in this, it's not in the early stages. I mean, the art industry has been around. You know, we have had artists for decades since our independence. But in my experience, having conversations with people that are sort of the veterans of the art industry in Namibia, the older filmmakers, the older cultural practitioners, I always sense a bit of like a sense of not regret, like spitefulness. Like, why only now? Like, we're old, we're about to retire, and
now it's just starting to pick up.
You know, it's only starting to pick up now, and you see it's very palpable when you enter rooms where people are having conversation on trying to formulate policies around the art creative industries. You know, the older people always seem to be a little bit more, you know, frustrated with the fact because they're about to retire. And then there's an idea that my generation, Gen Z, doesn't really understand the importance of art to a society, because again, everything is so cheap and so easy to make, and you can create a Mona Lisa with a prompt, you know. Like the process of
writing, even academically, you can see that the time it used to take to study for something and what have you, I had to read a whole textbook. Now I can just put a prompt, please summarize. I'm doing a test and this is what we're going to focus. Summarize the most important things that I need to know about this, and that's it. And then I go and write the test and I pass. But I have not sat down and consumed a work of somebody, a body of work. Do you get it? It's just snippets of it. And yeah, I hear what you're saying. So the world is moving to that. Speaking of AI and the creative industry, we're seeing more and more writers, musicians, what have you, are using AIs. And there is a positive to it. I've listened to some music or musicians who've used AI.
Oh, okay. I thought you said I thought you were going to say AI artists.
Yeah, not AI artists. They would let's say I don't have a producer, so AI does my producing for me, and I can see how it helps, especially when you're starting out and you don't have the money to pay for a producer, what have you. So there's this guy that I'm following on social media. He used AI to create his beats, but the vocals is his, which I have to say I respect him for that, and I love that that's the direction he's going for, because it's quite expensive, especially if you're starting out. But at the same time, it takes away from the human touch.
Yeah, that's the point. That's the point of it all. AI can do incredible things. It can make work so much more effective, so much more efficient, so much more convenient and easier to do in any industry. Especially in the arts. But then it takes away from that human touch.
Yeah.
And so, let's say I'm a bit of a negativist. Maybe I've watched too much
Black Mirror,
futuristic sci-fi films about AI taking over the world or whatever. The first thing as an artist that I would fear is that instead of thinking about robotics, we won't be able to do anything. You have an AI that's cleaning your room, your house. You have AI that drives, or you take a robot or whatever, electric car, whatever, that drives your kids to school. You don't have to go anywhere and do anything, because you have created these technologies that can do everything for us, and then humans basically just become people that eat and sleep, consume. The perfect utopia of AI and technology. But what would that mean for art? That means nothing that we consume is created by the hands of a human. You watch a movie, a film, it's generated. You see a painting, it's generated. You listen to music, it's generated. It's written, it's produced, everything, all the elements that goes into making music. So I do respect people that are trying to move with the time, artists that are trying to move with the times, like the person you mentioned that would make a beat with AI but still put their own vocals. But at one point, someone else is going to realize, no, it's easier to just also let AI generate my voice. Let me record my voice. And then at one point, we don't have any original art or anymore. Human art with human touch to it. And I like to quote, it's a German philosopher, I don't know if you know him, but Friedrich Nietzsche. I know you like philosophy.
I know him. Of course I'll know him.
Yeah. And he had this idea that in order for humans, the point of being alive on this earth as a human being is to sort of struggle. And if you're going to project that into your art, AI doesn't have struggle. It just analyzes.
There's no human soul to it.
Exactly.
A human touch brings the endurance, the suffering, the joy, what have you, and that's what makes it so unique and palpable to everybody else. So I definitely agree with that. Now, X, we really, got carried away, and you and I will always, have long conversations. But it was so nice to have you in studio to divulge some of this thoughts, and just also open our minds to just like, okay, this might be cool, but what does it mean in the long term for society and for us as artists as well? So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Solve X, and this is a very beautiful conversation.
Thank you so much. All right, with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow, same time, same place.